What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel, where today we are going to be reviewing this set of Kanjo Spec'd hood dampers for the 370Z. Disclaimer, I was sent these for free to review. However, Peter did emphasize that he wanted me to be completely honest in the review, point out any potential flaws that I might see in the product. I can absolutely respect that. I have turned down a couple of promotional offers in the past simply because companies have been wanting me to sweet talk their products, which I'm just not going to do. So yeah, without further ado, let's get around to unboxing these hood dampers. And here's everything that comes in the box. You're of course going to get the installation instructions so you can install the dampers. You'll get the branded dampers themselves, one for each side of the hood. You're also going to get the installation hardware that you're going to need to be able to install the dampers. He's also provided a couple of decals in case you want to throw one on your car. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. If you do like what you see, by the way, I will be giving away this pair of hood dampers. More details on that towards the end of the video. But yeah, as far as hood dampers go, I mean, they look to be fairly good quality. Nothing really to complain about. There's a couple of minor scuffs here and there on the body of the damper itself, but nothing really terribly concerning. It's probably just the way that they were stored. I do wish that he had powder coated his brand here onto the body or laser etched it or something, but that's kind of just nitpicking. I mean, the connection points look to be fairly good. I'm not terribly concerned about these breaking on me after opening up the hood a few times. The mounting hardware all looks fairly standard. The anodized black coating on here, I mean, it looks good. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get these installed on the car now and see how they perform. So now let's work on installing these dampers, and it is a fairly straightforward process. Start off by getting your hood propped up, and then we're going to remove a couple of these little plastic push connectors. One right here in front of the battery cover, and then another over here right in front of the brake fluid reservoir. So you want to get both of those removed. So now we're going to go ahead and install the lower ball fitting here, and this is just going to go in the location where we remove those clips, where the ball connector is going to be sitting on top, and then the two washers and the nut are going to be on the bottom side of the car. Now, if you're sitting at factory ride height, you might be able to reach underneath the fender well and then be able to get to that location with no issue. However, in my case, because the car is lowered and on coilovers, I'm going to need to jack the car up. I recommend doing this anyways just because it means you'll be able to get a socket wrench or a crescent wrench in there a little bit easier, and that way you can properly torque these points down. And even on coilovers, now that I'm seeing it, there's actually plenty of room here between the fender and the wheel. So even with coilovers, I can just reach my hand up in here, and then I should be able to kind of feel around and find where that hole is located at. So yeah, you shouldn't even need to take the wheel off. If you just jack it up on a jack stand, then you'll get plenty of room here to be able to reach up and then install the nut and the washer. You do have two options, by the way, for installing these washers. If you're going to install both the flat and lock washer below the fender well, then the flat washer is going to sit up against that fender well, and that lock washer should be between that and the nut here. If for whatever reason you need to add a little bit of spacing for this little ball connection point here, then you can put the lock washer on top just below the ball connector with the flat washer and the nut on the bottom. However, if you do this, it is recommended to use just a little bit of Loctite to make sure that this nut stays secure. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and install both the driver and passenger side using this configuration with both of the washers on the bottom. So with that ball connector in place, we're now going to install these ball brackets that go on the factory hood hinges. They are labeled because they are side specific. So in this case, we got the driver's side and the passenger side. Fortunately, there is some degree of adjustment here. You can slide these in and out to try and make sure that the dampers are aligning correctly. and that we have the brackets installed in the correct position. So these are gonna go underneath the forward nut here on the hood, or the top nut if you're looking at it with the hood open. So that one we're gonna remove both from the driver and passenger side, and then we are going to slide on the new brackets underneath and then retighten the nuts. So we've got that bracket installed now. Before you tighten it down all the way, you will just want to check to make sure that the alignment looks good. You can either check and make sure that the bracket seems to kind of sit evenly along the edge here. Another thing you'll want to double check is if you come over to the side, that ball should line up with the same ball on the other side of the car over there. You just kind of want to make sure that they're pointing at each other. That way you know that your brackets are aligned and even on both sides. So that way the damper will sit correctly, and it'll also mean that it won't do anything weird with kind of how it's warping the hood when you open it. So yeah, just kind of check to make sure that they're installed correctly and lining up. And now we're going to install the dampers themselves. Actually, installing the dampers is fairly straightforward. These just kind of push on to the little ball connectors here. You don't even need to undo the clip. It'll just push on like that. You will want to install this end first. It will make it easy to compress and then put on the other side here. The thicker side of the damper, where the actual compressed air is, that is gonna go up on the hood side right here. So I'm gonna set the camera down because I'm gonna need to take the weight off of the hood prop so that I can finish installing these. And now we have both of the dampers installed on the car. First impressions, the actuation is actually pretty good. Doesn't require too much force to be able to shut the hood. And if I bring the hood all the way down and then go to lift it again, it rises fairly smoothly. It doesn't have a sudden jerk when it gets to the top, so the force in these isn't too harsh. So I'm not worried about the hood just kind of flying up too fast. So yeah, I mean, again, really not a ton of pressure to be able to shut these, although if you are short, you might have an issue being able to grab up at the top of the hood. But no, these seem to be working really, really well. A couple things I'll point out. There might be some interference here with the phone. So whenever you're shutting these, the struts may come down and pinch on this a little bit. If you find that it's pressing on this foam too hard, you can always just cut this or remove it if you really want to. I'm all for trying to maintain any of the factory weatherproofing though. So that's just one thing to note. Also, the fitting for that ball joint doesn't really hold down this plastic all that well. It might be worth putting a washer under there or something to be able to hold the plastics down, so that way it's not lifting up. But I mean, other than that, so far, I mean, these things seem to be doing exactly what I would expect them to. I mean, it's holding the hood up real nice. Holds it up nice and high. You obviously don't need to use your hood prop anymore. So yeah, ultimately these things are working really well. Couple other comments on the installation. First off, don't be like me. When I was first trying to install these, I thought you actually had to pull this clip up to be able to get the ball joint to press in, but that's not the case. These clips will move out of the way as you push this onto the ball bearing, so you don't need to mess with those clips unless you're going to take these off, in which case, yeah, you'll just lift these clips up and then you should be able to lift the connections out of place. So yeah, just understand that. Also, you will need to prop the hood up. If you have a second person with you, it might make it easier. Otherwise, you can just support the weight of the hood with your shoulder or your head or something. Probably your shoulder rather than your head. But anyways, yeah, you'll need to support the hood to be able to throw these on. You will need to compress the damper just a little bit to be able to seat this top one here. So it's important to make sure you install these in the correct direction. Again, the thinner portion of the strut here should connect to the bottom. Do that first, and then you can force the rest of the damper down to be able to get it to line up with the other connection point here. But yeah, so far looking good. There's only one small problem. So Eagle Eye viewers will have noticed that I have my OEM aluminum hood on the car. Normally I run with my carbon fiber vented hood on the vehicle. However, I do have some concern with this. It does take some extra force, as I said, to be able to shut it. It's not bad, but it does mean that you're putting excessive stress on the locations where the latch meets with the hood. And because with these carbon fiber or fiberglass hoods, Normally, it's just a nut that's embedded into like a fiberglass mold or something, and I'm afraid that it could end up cracking the fiberglass around where those nuts are located. So I'm not comfortable running these struts on a carbon fiber hood. That's not a knock on the Kanjo Spec'd dampers, that's any sort of hood strut in general. I just don't want to risk possibly breaking the hood here. So I could only comfortably recommend anybody that's wanting to put dampers on to make sure you have a metal hood. If you want to install them on a carbon fiber hood or a fiberglass hood, do so at your own risk. Just understand, as I said, that you will be putting a lot of extra force here where the hinges are whenever you go to shut it. So yeah, overall, these hood struts are pretty great. Solid construction, it gets the job done, quality's good. Install time takes next to nothing. Would definitely recommend, if you're looking to get a set of hood struts, to consider Kanjo Spec'd, especially if you're planning on going to shows a lot. It means you don't have to have your hood prop up and everything. If you are looking to pick up a set of these, I will leave Instagram here in the top right corner. They do run $90. It's not the cheapest set of hood struts out there, but it does come with a 2-year warranty, which for me, that's unheard of. I haven't seen a warranty that long on any sort of aftermarket automotive part. I'm sure they're out there, but it's nice to know that for 2 years, these things are backed. They have been weather tested. They work, in the heat of Vegas or in the cold of winter in Canada. There's a couple of guys running around with these, and there's pretty much been no issues from the quality standpoint. So yeah, highly recommend. If you are going to do a carbon fiber hood like me though, you might want to be a little wary. So personally for me, since I'm going to be reinstalling my hood, I will be taking these off here momentarily. So I am planning on giving these away, as I mentioned earlier in the video. If you are interested in entering your name to get a set of these, leave a comment on my latest Instagram post. I will be leaving an Instagram post up here as well, commenting on the Kanjo Spec'd dampers. So if you want to enter for that giveaway, just leave a comment on that Instagram post, and at the next video, which should probably be in about 2 weeks, I will announce whoever the winner is, and all you have to do is pay for shipping, which shouldn't be hardly anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Definitely consider Kanjo Spec'd if you are looking for a set of hood dampers, and thank you guys for watching, and see you all in the next one. Later.